Welcome and thank you for joining us. I am Jason Bayless, and we have a great conversation planned this evening. Mobilizing Change, General Strike US. We're going to be in conversation with General Strike Coalition members, and we'll be just exploring the details of their work. General Strike US is a decentralized network of people and organizations working towards a general strike. You can visit their website at generalstrikeus.com. That's generalstrikeus.com, all one word. But before we get into the details, let's meet the General Strike US Coalition members, starting with Day. Welcome.
So I'm Day. I've been an organizer with the General Strike since the beginning of 2023. It's been a pleasure. It's definitely been a journey. A little bit about my background. I believe I've always been like a revolutionary. It possibly started with my interest in music and poetry at a young age. I feel, both are, tools of self-expression and revolutionary in their self. So that definitely led me down the path to really focus that energy into something powerful to help the collective in the long run. And it led me to the General Strike.
So now let's bring in Nan. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here. I'm Nan. I'm an organizer in Colorado. I mainly work on mutual aid, both on and offline. I've been pushing general strikes ever since I first discovered that that was a thing that we could do that would be highly effective towards making real change, because it is really, the money is the one spot that the systems in control actually care about, and a general strike is something that actually can make a big impact. So, yeah, I've been pushing general strikes since like November 2020, but this is the first time I've actually seen it have the groundwork, have the cooperation, have the organizers that can actually make it happen. It's really exciting.
Very exciting, and thanks for joining us. Now let's bring in Mike. Welcome, Mike.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I think I have a phone call going on. I hope it's not on this phone. Yeah, Evolving Seeds. I go by Michael. I mean, that's my name. Evolving Seeds is the name of the organization. We are a decentralized grassroots activism network slash community and organism. We're a solutions-focused activist, activist volunteer community. So we came into contact with Day and General Strike and Nan around mid 2023, or even before that, like early 2023. And we've been interacting and providing mutual aid and assistance to the community via online and in our respective lives in person.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And let's bring everybody here. So this question is kind of for anybody and everybody on the call. So General Strike was formed on the principle that significant united action can drive change. Let's talk about the kind of change that you're striving for, and what are we up against? Why do we need a general strike?
Basically, I believe that we need a general strike, basically for everything that this system and institution was founded on. Everything, generally everything, political, social, technological. That's the type of justice that we're striving for. Really, a one-stop shop. We're trying to do starfish modeling to incorporate, all of our wants and needs under one umbrella, to where we can all, co-create and manifest a new system and a new way of life and reality for all of us.
Yeah, to the point of why we need a general strike, it has become quite evident that these socioeconomic pressures are manipulated, they're influenced, they are not naturally occurring, even within the scope and scale of the system itself. They are orchestrated, if you will. That's even a better term. And we have to come to terms with our dependence and our interdependence on each other as citizens, as not citizens, quote unquote, but as individuals, human beings, and reconcile the so-called divides and the so-called wars that are going on that are not the actual war or even the real wars that are going on abroad from our respective locations. And to know which side of the line, everybody who wants to strike recognizes that we agreed to, if we're all agreeing to play a game and play by certain rules, everybody has to play by those rules or we need a new system. And clearly nobody's playing by those rules. And we have to have some infrastructure in place as far as the strike in order to alleviate some of people's mental woes, because people are in a bad state. They've ensured that, when I say they, I mean that loosely. We as a society has allowed it to become a very precarious predicament, and we have to move forward as such.
I feel like we need the general strike because it is one of the key factors that will enact change. Things are only going to get worse, and we can decide to start participating with each other and helping each other sooner or later, but it's inevitable one way or another. And if we can strengthen each other and then weaken the system, we'll have an easier time transitioning versus either waiting it out until everything is completely terrible or escalating it to a violent situation. It doesn't have to be violent, and a general strike can be people sitting down. Now, we also have to take care of our communities and not just leave people who are vulnerable at massive danger and risk, but it doesn't have to be us marching in the streets with weapons. We can literally just be like, I'm not participating. Sorry, I'm going to stay home with my kids and do art today, and you can fuck off. And I love that kind of revolution.
Yeah. So that you bring up a good point is like, so if the system that we're currently in is not working for us, working for anybody, except for a small percentage of people who make gains from that, what is, after once the general strike is called and we come together and we've developed the infrastructure and connection and the community defined by the community, what does the other side of the general strike look like? What does the world that we've created look like?
Oh, are you talking about like list of demands or like
No, it's just like,
overall big picture image?
yeah, kind of big pictures. Like if we're saying something's not working, what does it look like when it works?
I think part of that we're going to have to discover ourselves. A lot of this, like, it hasn't been done before. There is a ton of research and literature and other activists who have done similar, but it is 2024. None of them held a smartphone in their hand while they were trying to do these kinds of things. There's whole new battlefields, and I feel on my own praxis level that apps, like, we can really have apps that work for mutual aid and for health and for housing and all of those things. If we can get it out of those who can afford it can use it kind of way and change algorithms to better people, not just the pockets of people who want to sell things, we'll have a whole different kind of chance at everything. We don't need a person standing on top. We could hop on an app and be like, I like these projects and I volunteer to be in these projects. I'm going to do it for free because I have housing. But that's my own side of things.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on.
Just to piggyback off what Nan was saying, yeah, I agree. Like, it's the general strike is an outlet for us to co-create something new, something that's never been done before, because it hasn't been done before. The sky's the limit with this. And just for a quick reference, like, I always refer to like the Venus Project and things of that nature, like utilizing technology and intertwining with activism and revolutionary ways just to create thriving communities like what they were intended for. I believe technology is intended to better our lives as a collective. It can be. It's just like how we use it and who is in control of this technology.
Nice. You mentioned the project. Can you explain that a little bit more for folks who may not know, so they can also get a fuller picture of what the world might look like?
I'm actually going to have to take this to a different room because I know I can get down with this. I'm glad it came up. My children's are outside having a good old time, and I do a lot of my videos in this damn bathroom anyway because of my kids. The Venus Project is an organization that was developed by Jacques Fresco and Roxanne Meadows. Jacques Fresco lived to be 101. He passed away in like 10 years ago now almost. But a million of us knew about the Venus Project and the resource-based economy, and we mourned for a week over this man because he was like the best of all activism. He studied under Buckminster Fuller, and he spoke with Albert Einstein several times about his designs. He was featured on Larry King a couple times in the 70s. But the basis of a resource-based economy, the irony of even the title, is that all economies are resource-based. Because we don't poop diamonds and shit gold, we literally have dependence on our external resources in order to survive in our bodies on this planet. And those resources are finite, or at least they have to be managed in a way that they are in equilibrium and harmony with each other, the systems, because if not, then they become harmful. If water is tainted upstream, it becomes harmful downstream. So a resource-based economy utilizes the scientific method and logic and reason and technology applied empathetically to socioeconomic and environmental concerns. So when we look at the landscape of how we've been deciding things thus far, we've been using opinions, perspectives, religious beliefs, what people think are good ideas. A resource-based economy does not have a hierarchy, a central hierarchy. A resource-based economy is based on relevant data and an inventory analysis of the relevant resources and how we can apply them to relevant situations, socioeconomically and environmentally. And here's just a little bit. I don't know how much you can see, but here's just a little bit of what Jacques Fresco had put together as far as the cities, like the fact that they're round so that they're equidistant. Everything is equidistant from itself. The fact that there's ports that bring things in if there is any kind of incoming resources. Everything else that can be produced on site is produced on site. Everything that can be produced to the degree of an ethical, safe, equitable, and environmentally harmonious way. Now, this is not to be confused with what people call a utopia, which in Greek literally means nowhere, because it doesn't exist. A resource-based economy is designed to be technologically efficient and utilize the state-of-the-art, technology in order to bring cohesive tech. For instance, in a resource-based economy, when you get a home, you can talk to the home, and like how we're utilizing integration with augmented AI and augmented reality. We would be able to speak to our home and say, I want to extend my walls a little bit, and the house will move because these houses are built to be self-engineered. Meaning, if we put up an apartment complex, the apartment complex puts itself up. We build machines that would essentially build an apartment complex that unfolds. And we already have examples of this in the real world. All you have to do is look up apartment complex unfolds itself, and you will see all kinds of videos of this technology being utilized right now. But to sum it up and wrap it up with a resource-based economy, it is what I've observed. It is the default socioeconomic system for any developing civilization when they are using voluntary interactions as the core principle of their system.
So connecting it to General Strike US, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So what is the organizing model that y'all are incorporating to bring forward this new world, this where we're taking care of each other and have the resources?
I'm going to take a moment. I'm not going to take too much time because that's where decentralized, crowdfunded, ideology-free, intentional communities come in. It's the middle ground between where we're at and that spot where we were just discussing, which is the resource-based economy of the Venus Project. These decentralized communities is something that provides, and how it even relates back to General Strike, is there has to be some kind of infrastructure in place that people can point to and say, all right, if things start looking real ugly, meaning people are losing their jobs in the sense that they're striking, they're still employed. We're demanding such and such XYZ, but they're still employed. And the employer, instead of meeting those demands, double downs and fires a bunch of people. We have infrastructure to say, hey, we got you. This is where you can go. And it's not some place where we're sending you, but you're coming to us in various places, various states, various locations to have access to resources that essentially have been crowdfunded by everybody involved in really making the world a better place. It really comes down to us focusing our intent and our thoughts and our emotions in specific areas in mutual aid and grassroots organizations that are able to put forward the work on the ground. Like, we provided assistance during Hurricane Harvey, and we raised, I think, like $32,000 in 17 days for victims of the hurricane. And it was very swift. No, it wasn't. Nobody had to put. I don't think we got a single donation over $100, but we made that much money in 17 days. And it's just people doing their part. So if we can apply just the way we've drawn it up, and all this information is available at evolvingseeds.com, our website. Boing. But if we crowdfund this, meaning the way some people pay for apps, the way some people pay for lattes, if we can get 500,000 people, which is still a very small number on the global scale, to put per state $5 toward their own development of a community within, say, 100 miles of them, and $5 toward a community abroad, we can create a web of financial investment and financial development and backing for these communities. And we could do it per state. I'm in Colorado, Nan's in Colorado. And we can declare these. And the way these communities are decentralized is they work on protocols. So nobody has access to any of this no 1 or 2 or 10 people have access to any of this membership money that is developing this. And once we have these goals met to say, oh, okay, we can build this community, we have enough money for this particular area, and we go to build there. There's a protocol that is enacted, not 1 or 2 people that does it. There's a protocol that unfolds, and a whole team of people process the paperwork. And that's it. And those people get paid to process the paperwork. They get paid a fiat currency, money, in order so that we can still have people with a leg up in the system. Because I don't advocate us continuing this system of fiat currency in any way, shape, or form. But if it's going to continue and we're going to be in that environment, it would be advantageous for us to have a leg in it, a methodology of still obtaining it. So I'm gonna run you through a quick scenario. Somebody loses their job and they find out about these communities. They have no money. They're depleted, but they do have the ability to read. They are able to learn about the program, the membership, what we're doing, and get someone else to sign up too. And they get basically a 2-for-1. So their energy, their time, their sweat equity for learning about decentralized communities, and then convincing someone else and teaching them about it, grants them their membership money. So they get paid. So now they can pay their membership fee, or whatever we're calling it, the $5 or $10, and they have money in their pocket. And all of this money is coming from decentralized businesses associated with decentralized community development, meaning food banks, farmers markets. We're developing, our communities will have methodologies on site to make money. For instance, the entire community itself will be an Airbnb. We will host Airbnb. I say that hey, hi. I say that term. I say, hey, Dad. That's all you wanted to tell me, huh? Hey, Dad. I use the term Airbnb to give somebody a quick psychoanalysis or reflection of what I'm talking about. But essentially, we would try to take over, and there's a video on the website about a community in Austin, Texas, and they took over an RV park. And so all of the amenities for an RV park is there. The sewer, the connections, the waste, all of that is already there. And their RV park is still there. But we would essentially buy one and buy RV parks if we could, to crowdfund to buy these RV parks. And they would have already the infrastructure for us to host RV. So we can host RV. Then we can have in Colorado we have a lot of yurts. I don't know if people know what yurts are, but they're like cylindrical tents basically. But they're really strong, sturdy, and people have been using them for thousands of years. But we have all kinds of structures and kinds of structures in place that we highlight. But that person would be able to come to the community and stay in a community pod, whether they are what we call an on-site member or just a guest, somebody who's never even heard of this. A person can still save because our infrastructure is geared towards providing resources and providing access. We're not charging. If you're a member, you don't pay. If you are a guest, we're still charging a third or half or whatever, way less than the market for food, housing, shelter, and then the necessities. And any money that we get from the public sector is divided evenly back into the members of the community. And when there's enough of this ebb and flow of outside commerce and inside community engagement, eventually we would have what I call a universal community income, meaning we're paying you because we have all this. Just to sum everything up, I'm going to say, imagine if Walmart had to give all of its profits in a specific area that it was stationed in back to the community that it was in, a check at the end of the month, and the infrastructure and the parks and the schools and all that. It would be massive, the amount of money that, or excuse me, the amount of development, sustainable development we could do in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So I just unmuted myself. All right. Yeah, no doubt. I agree with everything Mike just said. I like to remind people too. I'm pretty sure we said it. This is not a traditional strike. What Mike just talked about, we're looking at point A, which is the General Strike US. Point B being those sustainable communities, and point C, which is what we were talking about, the Venus Project, or something similar to it. So it's definitely a work in progress, but it starts with a community, and general strike is nothing but shifting our time, energy, and money away from the current institutions that we see that's hoarding those resources, and shifting all of our time, energy, and money into our own communities, into mutual aids, and into community projects, things that they tell us not to do. It's revolutionary in itself. Feeding the homeless is revolutionary. Sustainable living, off-grid living, growing food in your backyard, that's revolutionary. It takes a act like that, like Nan was saying, this can be peaceful.
If Nan, are you gonna say something right now?
I was gonna hop into my section of what I'm doing for organizing and all of that. If you got
I just
something
wanted to
else, go
just
ahead.
I just wanted to say that also the whole crowdfunding of communities or the community aspect or anything, because I was talking about crowdfunding vacuums, fucking toolboxes in communities and everything we could use, but it takes the weight off. Most people are talking about doing some form of going off grid or getting out of the hubbub, but it's just about alleviating the growing pressures. And if we put our money, if we tool our funds and our energy, we can do a lot more together than we can separately.
Yeah, a lot of I love the big picture ideas of evolving seeds, and like the education on your website and all of that is really rocking. I'm trying to, on my end of things, I work smaller and then I'm working my way towards bigger. So I started off with kind of getting crowds together on TikTok and starting with encouraging people to interact with mutual aid content, and then building little groups on Signal that can interact with the content and then start to make the content. And then from those groups, I'm seeing who is actually active and understands the principles of like mutual aid, helping each other because helping each other helps each other. And then I'm taking those, and they've started to come to where I'm at in Colorado, and we're developing a community here so that way we can have really decent people in the right spots at the right time. And not everyone is going to be able to make it to Colorado. So we're also helping others figure out how to set up theirs. I'm running a lot of these experiments on myself, and it's been a few years of doing this. I also do some sustainable community design for the past decade and a half. But right now, the mutual aid, and the more I look into it, right now I'm doing a lot of self-taught. Every bit of literature, videos, activists who do mutual aid, I'm deep diving into. And the more I see, the more it feels like that is really the foundation, the key, the cornerstone, us helping each other for the sake of helping each other. I'm experiencing it even right where I'm at. I live in an RV, and I work different places during the summer, and during the winter kind of focus more on this kind of stuff. And since I have a community being built around me, we're all at the same RV park, but we are finding that a lot of times we're all broke. We got nothing. But when we pool our resources and help each other, it doesn't matter. We're actually doing okay. We can be broke for weeks at a time and still have food and water and shelter and all of those things. And really, when you look at it, every species on the planet has done that just to survive and even evolve, as Kropotkin says. If we didn't actually try to feed our young or each other, or take care of the ill, or stockpile supplies and resources together, none of us would have made it at all if we were all just completely individual. And that's kind of what we have to get back to. We've been being pulled separate, and we really do have to make those interlocking communities.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of tease out a little bit is like the role that I see General Strike US do is like, the examples you've given, and where you are locally of how you're coming together, finding out what is needed, how do we support each other. I see that also happening on the lower 48 through General Strike U.S. conversations in your Discord. It's not just what's happening in Colorado or what's happening here where I'm at. It's like, yes, this is happening here, but we're taking our knowledge and sharing it with people in Texas and sharing it with people in New York or wherever. Can you speak about that kind of, I don't even know what the word,
Decentralization.
that contribution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
no one of us, like I do run into this a lot, and I know these other organizers, Day and Michael, have too, where people come to us and they're like, how are you going to meet all of my needs? And the truth is, no one person, no one organization can. The US pretends to, and it's really not doing good, along with all these other organizations that we've seen. We have to put the tools back in our own hands. We all have to take responsibility as far as we are able and capable. And that's going to be different for each person, but there's always something. And we're working on classes and getting the resources into people's hands so that way they can set it up themselves. Really, when you look at it, people around 175 start to divide their own groups. Around 100 is the sweet zone where you can like really enact some change. You can have everyone doing their own thing and making things happen. But at a certain point, it kind of falls apart. Now, if you can have all these little pods of 100 who know that the goal is this, we can hit it from all the different angles. And we have to, because the system has covered all the different angles. We need people who can make videos. We need people who can make bread. We need people who can just message people. We need, every different facet. If it's something that you have right now that you like, we can give that to each other for free instead of charging each other. And that's radical.
they're charging people for water. What's up with that? Dave, you want to speak about kind of what you're doing on the ground where you are and how you're bridging skills?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So I'm definitely starting off small. Like I say, I just started organizing with the General Strike the beginning of last year. I've never done mutual aid before, but I do see the importance of it, and recently started the end of last year, so around from November to December here in Michigan. I've started trying to build trust with the community through my own mutual aid for our General Strike chapter here. I launched a GoFundMe. And I get most of my donations from, my day-to-day tasks. So like if I'm at the laundromat, even if I'm at work, I'm talking to people, just spreading awareness about us, building collective power here in Michigan, and I'm like, hey, donate to our mutual aid. The money that I do collect, I use it and put it right back into the community. I was able to provide care packages to people, to the unhoused community in my local surroundings. I felt it was best to do so myself. I gave it to these people myself instead of just donating it to some type of outside organization. And I just really just wanted to make sure they were able to get the resources themselves without having to fill out any type of paperwork or anything. So it's been a pleasure talking to people. I've been able to connect with some mutual aids in my local community and time banks. I'm setting up a meeting with Michigan Time Bank Alliance. They're supposed to be doing a time banking workshop for the General Strike US just to spread more awareness regarding that. Also, I've been working with Detroit's Tennis Association. Um, I'm working with them on a personal level, trying to build collective power for my own apartment complex. I just see, I'm pretty sure we all do. I see firsthand how the system, it tries to decrease our want to rise up in any way or form. I've been trying to do like some type of community pantry here at my apartment complex, and I've been getting met with resistance from the office, the leasing office, and things like that. But I just see so much wasted resources we can be using here. I feel like apartment complexes are a great space to create community. We have a community building. Why not use it, to, do mutual aid parties? We have a big field out here. We can be having a community garden. So it's just like, once again, these tools and how we use them. And if we're just using them to, have, bare grass, acres of, green grass out there, or are we going to use the green acres of grass to turn them into, a community garden, something that can give back and we're putting back into, as a community. So the sky's the limit. I've got a couple of people interested in joining. I hope, 2024 allows us to actually establish our first meeting here in Michigan, in regards to the general strike. So it's a lot in the next couple of months that I'm working on. There's a lot in store for us here in Michigan.
And it sounds like there's a lot of great work happening on the local level and where you're at. I want to speak about General Strike's U.S. kind of organizational strategies, like the work, the infrastructure, the community, the building the foundation is really important. But there's an organizational strategy that General Strike U.S. has about trying to get 3.5% of the population as a strategy to build towards the General Strike. Do y'all want to speak about that and how that fits into building the local infrastructure, building the community, and then also building towards this?
Yeah, just what I'm doing here, what Nan and Mike are doing in Colorado, just starting off these local nodes of general strike chapters. Decentralization is a big way that we organize. We implement like starfish model organizing, where we want to empower each one of us into some position of power, some leadership role. We want to encourage everyone to step up and start to uplift their own communities the way they see fit, because Colorado may not have the same type of needs as Michigan. So who better else to come up with these strategic plans than the local people, the people of the community. But overall, once we do get these nodes organized, we're going to be able to communicate, and we're going to be able to use that non-compliance and non-compliance in our labor as leverage for the bigger picture, to actually use that as a whole, state to state, and say enough is enough. We're not shopping at your Walmarts, and we're not going to work for $16-17 an hour. We're going to stay here in the community, and we're going to work on building up these our communities and community projects. That's what we're going to be focused on.
I was just going to say that exactly what Dave was saying. We are as strong as our nodes. We're as strong as how many organizers we have who are committed and doing the work. If you don't have many organizers and you don't have many people doing the work, like, we might as well just shut it down right now. This is for the people, by the people, and to empower people to be the change they want to see, to organize, to lead, to help, and to assess their own situations. That is the key to this whole organization.
Absolutely. And so, as people defining what their goals are, needs are on in their local specific areas, what are the kind of the goals General Strike US holds to kind of bringing these conversations together?
Like, basic necessities is a very core basic one. Like, can you afford housing? Are you worried about losing housing? Can you afford food? Are you worried about having food? How's your medical? How's your education? How's your kids' school? How's your world handling COVID and other diseases currently? Are we actually taking care of each other or not? These are very basic, and we all connect very similarly on the majority of these, I would say. Maybe not all with the COVID, because we're still dealing with that, but it is very important to take care of each other. And even if it's just withholding viruses or bringing food or bringing resources to people, it makes a huge difference. I'll hand it off to someone else.
I just want to add, like, we see how the government isn't working for us all the time, like Nan was saying in our day to day. But even on a larger scale, what's going on, like in Palestine, we see. I know they see us. We know they hear us. They just don't care at this point. We've been, protesting heavily. We've been boycotting heavily for a ceasefire, and all of that is going, unnoticed. We have no action that reflects the what the people want. So
I just wanted to say that the decentralization of this is very important because this is where intersectionality meets. This is where marginalization meets. This is where the common denominators become very clear. And like I talk about, there people say, "Oh, that's being divisive," and being divisive. The only thing that's being divisive is if you are advocating to continue doing things as they are. And people can argue about how to move forward, but there are some very logical steps that need to happen. One, we need to form a directory so that everybody knows what everybody does and what services they provide and what service they're willing to provide. Even individuals who don't even consider themselves activists. Oh, you guys are helping people. I'm willing to help. What can I offer? Bam. That's when you're a point of reference. Now you can advocate for whatever, you can provide whatever piece of assistance to a situation that you want or that you're able to. And so we're trying to develop that directory of people. So if somebody, yes, it's 3:52. If somebody wants, if somebody needs information, hold on one, or you guys take over.
The beauties of family.
yeah, I was just gonna tell Mike about the directory. You all offer a radical guide. I think that's a great resource. I always point people to in you all's direction when it comes to that.
Well, thank you. And we're also open to any other modification changes, things that's going to help serve you. Which brings me to a question: is like, what tools and practices have you found to be effective in this type of organizing, or locally, even nationally, that you can provide for the listeners now, so they can start playing with it and maybe getting involved?
To be honest, I know a lot of I've heard like social media activism isn't like a big tool, but I feel like we as the General Strike, we've been able to use it efficiently. I feel like that's what how our numbers were amplified, how we got to where we are now. It most of it came from social media activism and just utilizing TikTok and Facebook in a way that they didn't expect us to use it. So I think that's the beauty of it as well. Even like how we do like workshops and things like.
I was gonna try to just wrap mine up. Is that we literally yes, after we form that directory, and the reason we need that directory is so we know who does shirts and who has an affinity for it, who loves doing it, and will either do it for free or in exchange for other services, and like a barter, almost like a barter system for services, even if it's online. People who are willing, I know a lot of people who don't know nothing about nothing, but they're willing to put their hands in the dirt, dig, build. But we need a directory of organizations, individuals, and groups that are geared towards the individual. So I found one person on TikTok that I was actually able to meet. They live 30 miles from here, and his organization is called offgridgang.com, and his whole spiel and his whole purpose is to get more people who are trying to get off grid the resources that they can. And that's why I advocate all of the things that I advocate as far as the communities go, is because it literally consolidates all of our efforts, because it's hard to change people while we're all spread out and they don't live amongst us to see how these things live and how we live and benefit us, how an aquaponics farm or how a food forest benefits it. It's hard for them to see that because they're so disconnected, and there's not so much of this that they can see it in person. It alleviates a lot of the environmental pressures of incoming and outgoing resources. These communities provide housing. The entire concept of what Dave was talking about, trying to mobilize in their apartment complex, is that literally you have a pushback of from these corporate entities, because that's not even the United States government. That's a corporate entity just saying no, just for the sake of no. And they know because it feeds into a larger narrative. And that narrative has always been the independence from the system. I've never believed in individual dependence. That whole era of I'm independent and I don't need nobody. I've never believed in that, because those same people screaming I'm independent, if you close down a Walmart, they're dust. So we need infrastructure developed, and I think crowdfunding. And the reason why I say that is because these communities are meant to be franchised, meaning they're supposed to essentially look the same across spectrums for the visitors, but have a certain bit of what we would call classical living within the core on-site members, people who live there and plan to live there for years. They have a greater bit of determination on how the community looks in the core. But at the exterior, where we house the RVs, where we house the guests, it's a standard. It's like a Motel 6, a Holiday Inn. It's a standard thing, and it's something we leverage in the system for money. So the community, the aspect of, and I would argue that the general strike is hand in hand with this concept, because if we can get to the 3.5% goal, that's enough. That's a number that we can provide the basis for metrics for moving forward with this, even if we personally, as the collective, don't have the money. And I don't want to deal with banks or anything like that, but if we were to incorporate an organization or incorporate a company that sole purpose was to acquire property, in city property and rural property, with the sole purpose of making that property available to human beings through a decentralized platform and a non-discriminatory platform. That's another huge thing about this, and where we're coming from, is because a lot of people want to do something for the world, but it comes with they want to do it for a specific type of people, and they don't want to help those people over there. They want to help this specific type of people, and we're not with that. We want to help people who need help. That's the specific type of people that we're trying to deal with. So I think advocating and pushing heavily for these communities, because it attacks the environmental component, it attacks the economic component, it alleviates a lot of the economic stress and pressures that we're going through. One of my friends called it homelessness insurance. That's essentially what I'm talking about. If people who have a job come together and help build sustainable communities in their state, in their local economy, then they literally are providing a place so that if they lose their comfort, they can go stay in these communities, and the infrastructure for that is already in place. Remember, you can support these communities and not even live in them. You can help fund them so that you do have a place to go visit and stay when you go to a specific state. So if you have a favorite person that you live, a nanny, a granny that lives in New York, and you live in somewhere else, you can go to your granny and stay at one of the communities instead of a hotel if you don't want to stay at nanny's house.
So focusing in on specific type of people, we're talking about off the grid. I know the mainstream narrative around being off the grid is usually catered towards white nationalist people who do only want to build a community for specific people. Do you find that you have to challenge that narrative a lot, or do you find people really acceptive of taking on building, communities for the sake of community?
I think through a lot of people have their own different opinions and ideologies about all that stuff, but the community, it's a rather large community of people who have been doing this for so long. And I've attempted to start helping develop communities. And one of the main things I saw immediately was that someone owning the property or the RVs everybody was living in to help build, or the atmospheric water generator or the TP or whatever it was that particular people own stuff, became an issue at some point, whether it was how we were going to defend against the state and the county when they came to enforce their arbitrary laws and rules against us, how that response was going to go. There was discrepancies because of who owned the land. But if we actually do this from an inner system standpoint, as external systems activists, they really can't touch us, because a lot of us know the ins and outs of the system, and ins and outs that the law, the legalities, the legalese, they don't want us to know. A lot of us know that. And that's what I talk about with this intersectionality and bringing these together. Whether a person thinks that a certain type of person is crazy about what they think or what they know, a lot of this stuff is in state law. So they, to an extent, they have to play by the rules that they have set forth. And I know largely they don't, but there's certain things that we can do, certain paperwork we can file that will make things more easy for us to do. Meaning, we need to crowdfund the ability. One of the things I talk about with these communities is the ability to have a community lawyer. So whatever lawyer the main corporation that buys all the property or acquires all the property is, whatever lawyers we have, the individuals in the community, the members, have access to that lawyer too, like Legal Shield. So that if you get pulled over on the side of the road, you can call, General Strike Legal Department, and I got a cop. He's pulling me over. Yada yada yada. So the things that we have been priced out of, we can crowdfund all of them. And if we don't do that, we don't have a footing anymore. We don't have the ability to compete. We don't have a market share to compete in the market. But if we collectively say, this is, and because Evolving Seeds is my wife and I's baby. That's our thing. I call it garden communities. Garden communities are something we were toying with. Universal Strike Incorporated, a total company, a corporation whose sole purpose is to provide the aspects of living that we have been priced out of, the necessities and the luxury.
If I may, for a moment, I'm kind of on another side of things, because I do have a lot of friends who aren't in situations where they can move off the grid or out to the country, and nor do they want to. Some are city people, and there's actually a lot of people in big cities, a lot of people who don't even have a vehicle to go anywhere else. And teaching them how to be self-sustaining even on micro levels, how to grow your little gardens and how to connect with your neighbors and how to do those kinds of things is really vitally important and will help them survive the coming days in their situations. I'm kind of, instead of crowdfunding so much, I'm on the side of, we have these little QR code stickers that go to the general strike, and I've been putting those around everywhere I can to try and get people to stop paying rent and stop doing these things. Come and research. And also that has to come with, I have to follow up, I have to go meet the people, I have to show them that I'm a real person and that my concerns, my desires, my struggles are similar, and that we can choose not to participate. We don't need the economy. We don't need the funds. We can just do it for each other, wherever we're at, whether it's in a big city or in a greenhouse community or anything like that. That being said, I am in the community that I'm building. It is a bit further out but we are making sure that we have intersectionality, and the whole point of it is to make an education center on, come here, we'll show you how to build your little greenhouses, how to harvest wind energy or solar energy all on your own, how to can food, how to connect with people on an interpersonal level, because the majority of us are neurodivergent as fuck with a shit ton of trauma, and that means we have issues with each other, and nothing dismantles a movement faster than the people inside of it. So if we don't have healthy communication and the ability to at least work together and cooperate, we don't have anything. And we can work that on a spectrum. Not everyone has to work with everyone. You can have middle people who can work with both sides, or this one and that one, but not that one. And that's fine, so long as we have a same goal. There are people that I cannot work with. I have character defects and ego and some pissed offedness towards certain groups that I just probably won't ever be in the same room and be able to keep my temper, my cool. But I am finding those that I can work with, that I can work efficiently, and who I actually really enjoy working with. And we're creating, magic, awesome, awesome things, because we're finding those that we can, and stop fighting all the things, start working towards the things that we need.
Amazing. Yeah, it's. I like the realness that you're bringing to this. Is like normally in activist circles or progressive is like it's all about we all have to get along and we all have to build this world. And reality is we don't have to be friends to do great work together. And to hear you say that, to acknowledge that, is like, hey, I know who I can talk to and who I'm willing to talk to and who I'm not willing to talk to is really important to us being able to move forward collectively. So I really appreciate you bringing that forward. Are there other kind of challenges or barriers that you see, or anybody, not just specifically you? I know you're in the spotlight at the moment, but that you see that would be really beneficial if there was more light shined on it, or more conversations or something.
I do have one. Because I do so much work on TikTok. I work with the one currency I do put a lot of weight in is people's time and attention. And where they pay their attention is where you can find a lot of this power and energy that even trumps dollar amounts. That is not just known by me. And there are people on these platforms who are completely disingenuous. They will say, yes, I want change, but they will only offer criticism and never actually any work towards effecting any change. And they try regularly. We've had a number of different creators go and say that we're doing all kinds of stuff, down to a pedophile ring. I've heard the general strike is that kind of bad. And it blows my mind when I hear these, and at a certain point I'm becoming desensitized, but I wish more people would think critically and look into these things. And if a person claims to know everything about the general strike, ask them if they've talked to any of the organizers, because most of them haven't. That's what I got on that note.
Just to add what Nan was saying, like the challenges are, inside and fighting, which Nan was talking about, as well as outside suppression and censorship. So, it's a lot of misinformation coming out and a lot of information being suppressed. As if you control the information, you control, reality, the perception. So right now, our challenge is, getting the information out. That requires participation, and also, putting a cap on a lot of misinformation that is, being leaked out. Talk to us. We're regular people, just like you. And that brings me to my next challenge. For me, one of my challenges has been just trying to organize on a day-to-day basis and still work my 40 to 50 hour a week schedule, at work and things like that. So, I'm not going to lie and say, it's all good, trying to, form and organize a local general strike chapter, because it's not. But, like we say, it takes commitment. I'm dedicated to this. I live this. So I find the time, through the days I'm tired, through the times I'm pissed off because my check is too short. I still find the time. Like I say, I pass out general strike flyers at work. I'm putting up general strike stickers. I'm making my own content. I'm spreading awareness. And you can always tell if someone is going to be receptive to what you're talking about with the general strike. You hear it all the time when people complain when you go shopping. This is too much money, especially when they get to complain about the prices of the cost of living. That's a perfect time to slide in with, hey, we're trying to build power. We're trying to build, a community, connect with us. And it's all about connection. So definitely it's a couple of challenges, but I feel like together, we do have strength in numbers. We have diversity is also strength. I feel like we can overcome those challenges.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say we need to kind of hyper focus on marrying the communities, that because the marginalized groups, and especially when you look on TikTok, they're thick in these groups of, but when there are large numbers of people who are in these groups just on TikTok. There's so many more that aren't, and there's so many more in the everyday world that are in these positions, and that's one of the things. And obviously, the hurdle is to get them on the same page. But we are on. They know that page. We're all on that page. It's that page that we're dependent on, the dependency page, and it's clarifying these narratives and saying, hey, you can believe what you want to believe, but are you on this dependency page? Like, are you largely dependent on outside authoritarian forces, or are you largely dependent on your family and your community and the people around you? Like, what's your neighbor's name? Like the person right next to you, what's their first name? And a lot of times we don't know because we've been divided in that deliberately. So our hurdles are all still very obvious. And just to clarify earlier, when I talk about these communities, I'm talking about them also being in cities because you don't want that disconnect, and properties. And again, also, I honestly, my honest opinion, I'm the founder of evolvingseeds.com. But my honest opinion about I think we're already past the point of being able to do this just from a legalities perspective. I think they've priced us out of a lot of the communal markets. So I'm all down for just spotting some land that's like public land and then meeting up there and then staying there 100, 1,000 and just staying there and never leaving and saying, hey, this is our spot, and it's like you be doing. And we're not harming anybody. Nobody was here. Leave us alone. And then depend on each other. I'm so down for that. I'm down for any of it. But when I talk about, I'm giving every avenue, every single line or possibility of how this is going to go. And we can get through these hurdles very quickly if we get everybody to see how that same page is very the same for all of us. We're all dependent on too much outside external authoritarianism.
We're approaching the closing of our time together. So I want to let folks know all the links, all the topics that we've shared in this conversation will be in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this. So you can have access, including General Strike US website. Make sure you connect, learn more. They're offering so much. I mean, as you can hear on this conversation, there is levels upon levels upon levels of things that are happening and that still need to happen. And we can't do it alone. They can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. We need each other. So with all that, I want to give some space back to you to kind of bring a closing thought. What do you want people to know? What would you like people to do, if anything, that you don't have to share to the listeners now?
Basically, just start looking at yourself. The 3 seeds right here on Evolving Seeds stand for our thoughts, emotions, and actions. If our thoughts and emotions are in harmony with reality, then our actions will also probably more logically be conducive with reality. If our thoughts or emotions are out of harmony, then we're more likely to enter a place of in continuity with reality. And people need to look internally. And when you take yourself seriously and you take seriously the condition of the world, especially if you have kids, the apathy of a person with no kids is like, makes sense, maybe. Doesn't, but whatever. But a person with kids and you know what the name of the game is, if you have worked on yourself sufficiently to the degree that you know you can go out and help somebody else do anything, do that. If you want to do it in an organized format, hit up Nan, hit up Day, hit up me, hit up the host, evolvingseeds.com, Red Heart Coalition, General Strike, US, and or form your own group or organization and link up with us. So we have I forgot what those things in school were called, but you had the one spot and it had little web branches, and then you had another one over here. And then, that's what we have to do, because if we create that web eventually will become infrastructure, because that's what government is. It's just people being paid more or less, but dedicating their time and energy ultimately into providing an infrastructure. I keep doing the air quotes, into providing an infrastructure. And that's what we have to do. So just work on yourselves and work on your community. Activism starts with individual self, then family, then community, then global host. So think local, work global. EvolvingSeeds.com.
Thank you, Mike.
I agree wholly. I love this group, first off. Like, I have never been so proud to work with some activists. And the revolution really is, it starts as an inside job. You have to ask yourself, what is it that you're passionate about? What matters to you? What do you love? And if you can find something that you love that you can do as a gift of love for your community, there's your radical generosity. There's your mutual aid. It is right there. Also, make sure that you're signing your strike card. Check out Red Heart Coalition. We're launching our website after this podcast, and we're starting a beginner's mutual aid course. It's 10 different classes. It's a bunch of different videos. This is what I've learned about mutual aid for the past 15 years. And it's also going to be how to create your own organizations, both in real life and online, because there's two different fronts now that we're waging war on. And we can do all of it. None of us can do it alone, but together we can do anything.
I just like to say, whenever man's law is going against our natural inherent rights, that we have a right to go against that. We have a right to rebel. So this is why we're here. I encourage all of you to step into your power and join us and demonstrate solidarity with us within this coalition. We are nature defending nature, so this is inevitable, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon, regardless if it's with the general strike or anyone else. I dedicate my life, and I hope that you will too, to see the liberation of humanity. We would like a free Palestine, we would like a free Congo, free humanity, and we're capable, and I just want you to know that we're capable of governing our own mentals and our own communities.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your time just in this time together. Thank you for your time that you're investing in your community and to General Strike US. I'm Radical Guide, myself personally, totally behind everything you're doing. And I know, because after this call, I want to talk to you about it. There are great things on the future that we can work together. So please, everybody who's listening, check out General Strike US. Check out all the links that are in the description. Get involved, learn more, throw your voice in the mix. It's deeply needed.
Can I say one more thing?
You sure can.
The classical definition of an open mind was to be able to hold a concept in your mind and analyze it without accepting or rejecting it. So if people want to be of service to mankind, they should keep a traditionally open mind. Be able to take in information without objectively rejecting it or accepting it while you analyze it.
Thank you for that addition. Thank you for sure. So there's a couple dates before we sign off that I want you to put on your calendar. May 18th is May Day for money, stand up for economic justice. It's a rally and march happening in Chicago. I'll have the link in there if you want to learn more and visit that. Link is in the description for that. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the listeners for staying with us on this whole time. And stay tuned for more. Thank you.